Yeah, it's fine.
Right. Again, that's a little counting. I'm going to worry about it. You need a Docker account just to use it, but it's completely free, so just log in. It's going to work. All right. Okay. So we're good to go. Okay. So what it's going to do is it's going to create this little sandbox here in my little repo, and that's the code subscription. You can do Claude instead of Codex. It has this preset. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it this little task here that I can do. This little prompt. Just going to let it do some stuff in the background. Let it think. I'm going to start the same sandbox in another tab. Update. Here, just let it start. Give it another little task. Let it do it in the background. Let's make sure the internet works, and we're good to go. Okay, let it just work, and now we're going to actually talk a little bit about what's going on here. So let me start the slide. All right. So we've all seen this stuff. We've all seen, people having their agents delete their whole computer, or access their production database, or screw up their Git, or leak their credentials, or we've seen this over and over. And by this time, you should understand that agents should not be left unattended without a sandbox. You shouldn't just let an agent, run on your computer and do whatever it wants, or in your cloud. It's just not a good idea. So what do people do about it usually? I mean, there is this thing which obviously you should never do, just bypass permissions or YOLO mode. It's not good, it's not safe, you don't want to play with fire. The other thing that people do sometimes is manually approving every tool run, which is boring. You don't have autonomy, you have to babysit your agent. You as a human, when you see these complex commands that the agent is running, you cannot always notice something dangerous. It's not productive to work this way. And there is auto mode, which is nice. This is something like, it's more reasoning. The classifier can identify false positives. I mean, sometimes your agent is trying to do something useful, and the classifier is going to let it know. And sometimes the classifier cannot identify some sophisticated attack because it's just a classifier. Like if somebody is really smart and does a clever multi-step prompt injection, the classifier cannot identify it, and it's going to work anyway. So it's a nice baseline to have as protection, but it's not perfect. It's like 70 or 80% maybe.
Yeah.
And there is harness-based sandboxing. That's something you have in the major harnesses like Claude and Codex. It's based on an OS level protection, which means the agent simply cannot access this or this boundary. And it's good. I mean, it actually prevents the agent from deleting your whole computer, for example. But the problem here is that it breaks useful tasks where you actually need the agent to do something in your environment. Sometimes you want your agent to set up your dev environment, or install tools, or operate Dockers, or access the cloud, or do some stuff that, needs just autonomy and co-op. It cannot do it this way. The other thing is you cannot let Claude or another agent configure itself, because then it can just disable its own sandbox. So there is containers. You can use Docker or Dev containers. It's nice. It gives some isolation. The agent sees a separate environment, and it doesn't see that it's in your host environment. But those things were never designed for security. They were designed for portability and reproducibility. So the original reason for Docker was, hey, I want to run this software on every system, not just on my system. So they don't have to figure out their packages and installation in every different deployment. And it was never designed as a security boundary. So it still has code. It's a shared kernel for a system. A smart agent like Meadows, for example, can easily break it. So there comes Docker Sandbox. It's a product from Docker company with the sole intention of having an environment for agents to run. They design it with security in mind. They design it for just letting a coding agent like Cloud Code or Codex run with bypass permissions for YOLO mode, just let it do whatever it wants with no worries. It's completely isolated, it's a separate kernel, it has network policies, it has mounted volumes that you control. There is no way for it to access your whole system. I mean, maybe there is a way for it, maybe some future model like Midos next version, whatever, will find a way to break it, I don't know. But currently, it's the best secure environment you can possibly think of for a coding agent. It has some nice features we're going to talk about, but first let me see what's going on here. Let me see what my agent did. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what kind of task I gave my agent to do right now. Why did I do it? The first one was add an ASCII animated ginger cat over 5 rows of color text, 2 seconds runtime that appears whenever any user starts a new interactive bash shell on the machine. Let's see if that works. There's this little command here that it basically enters bash mode or the sandbox. And it's a bit similar to a Docker. Okay, you see it? Okay, why did I do it? I wanted to demonstrate a task that I can let my agent do completely autonomously or my sorry?
Can you make it a little bit bigger? I can't see it.
You cannot see it?
No, zoom in.
You want a bigger font?
Yes.
Okay.
You can just do Command Plus, I think.
I'll increase the font. Yeah, I think I'll increase the font and it's 24. All right. How about right now? Let me do it again. I'm going to exit. I'm going to enter it again.
Bigger or smaller? That's good. That's good.
All right. Did you see it? Okay. Okay. So why did I do it? I let my agent do some autonomous system level tasks in my development environment. I didn't have to supervise it for whatever it's doing. I just let it install a little login script in my dash, so it's going to display this little cat animation whenever I log in. Now, it's not really useful, it's just for a demo, but it can show you that inside a sandbox, you can let an agent do whatever it wants with the system. Any kind of environment setup, any kind of installation, configuration, you can just let it do it, and it's going to get it done. Now, the second thing I did here was a little more interesting, and I see it's still working. We're going to get back to it when it's actually done with the task. I'm going to look back to the presentation. Let me go back to the slides. All right, let's talk a little bit about Docker Sandbox features before the agent finishes the second task. So, it has pre-built images. So, if you want to do what I just did right now, it kind of batteries included out of the box, just run Cloud, run Codex, log in, start to do some stuff safely inside the sandbox. You can execute some untrusted code, you can do some ad hoc thing, you can run bash, you can do Cloud-P or whatever it is in Codex to run some.
I have a question. This is for micro VMs. They are not containers, right? Or are there's a distinction, right? Micro VMs are like distinctly of a different class.
It's a different class because it's a separate isolated kernel, and a container like Docker or Dev container has a shared kernel, the same OS with your system, the same Docker engine, it shares sometimes shared networking. This has different security boundaries, so it's a complete VM. It's actually
but where is it at some point in the stack it's shared? That's the Hyper VM, and then on top of the Hyper VM, I might be wrong about this, I'm just curious, like Hyper VM, and on top you have, I think, one more layer, and from here we have, I'm curious because I want to learn about this.
I think they use a different layer for each OS. I mean, maybe they do something different for Mac OS and Linux and Windows.
Sure,
but in the end of it, I mean, from a use case point of view, it's a separate kernel. It has a separate Linux kernel running inside a VM. It doesn't share the same sockets, file system, lower level kernel, interrupts, anything like that with your host. It's completely separate. It's virtualized.
Okay.
So how exactly they do it, I didn't research enough. You can look it up. You can try to find the website.
What is the distinction between a micro VM and a VM? Is it just like a super optimized VM? Like, is it basically
What's
providing the
distinction?
same level of
I
isolation?
guess it's small. I guess it's like you say, just small. It's tiny. It's a very bare bones Linux image. It's not like parallel. It's not running, full UI and all this stuff. It's very thin. It's like Docker. It's similar to Docker, but with a different concept, security concept.
From what I remember, it's like
I
30%.
just looked it up. It's that they micro VM strip away the legacy hardware, emulation, and bulky device model. At least that's the answer.
It's like it just removes all of that, and it's just like literally like 30% of what a full VM architecture uses. It's like just this very core piece, but it's very distinctly different from containers, is my understanding. Anyways, like that's important because of deployment and when you talk about like making images and such, you might actually know more. Yeah. What do you?
Well, I'm curious, the main reason you would use Docker versus using a VM is Docker shares the memory with your host. Does this have like a fixed amount of memory per container that it's using?
There might be some configuration, but I haven't checked it. I didn't have any reason to constrain its memory for now. But so as far as I know, as a user, as a developer, it's going to take whatever memory it needs from my host system, but maybe there's a way to change it. It has all kinds of configuration that, honestly, there's a lot of stuff I don't know about it yet, so you can check whatever configuration.
The main difference between Docker and a VM usually is like you run 30 Dockers, and if each of them uses 1 megabyte of RAM, it'll just use 30 megabytes. But with a VM, it's usually a full operating system, so each one might use 40.
It says
That's
it's
correct.
reserved.
Yeah,
Docker sandbox
each
is
sandbox
reserved.
here is going to be a full isolated
VM.
VM.
Yeah.
But the footprint should be smaller. So like, how much are you assigning for each of your?
I just used the default. I didn't have any reason to constrain so far. I have a lot of memory on my Mac. Honestly, I didn't even get into that until you asked.
Okay.
But anyway, how about, I suggest, let me just, finish with the whole thing and then, maybe I'll already answer your questions as I move along, so, you don't have to ask them. And if you still have questions after we finish, feel free to ask them, because maybe it's already built in.
Okay, sure.
Just the memory questions. So it has pre-built images, it has code, codecs, other agents, there's a bare shell if you want to set up your own, or if you want to install Pi or something like that, you can do it. You can mount either one or multiple workspaces. Mounting means that only this folder in your file system is actually shared with your host. So if the agent inside the sandbox is changing stuff in the workspace, you're going to see it in real time in your IDE, but it cannot access anything else. It can do multiple workspaces. So that's relevant for, I remember that you have these use cases, you want to isolate between clients, and you said you have to supervise Claude when, when it does stuff because you don't want to touch another record. So with Docker Sandbox, you can control this isolation. You can decide, okay, this is the sandbox for this client, I have this, base workspace, and I have this workspace for this client, but there is no way you can access this workspace. So you can easily do it here.
Yeah.
It has custom templates, so what I did here with demo, I just started a pre-configured template for codecs, but obviously you don't want to do that. You have your own whole setup, you have your whole skills and hooks and whatever, and usually you want to have your own development environment. So you can do it with a Docker file, you can do your custom scripting around it, so you can have your completely reproducible setup. You can snapshot, so if you want to do something a little dangerous, try something, you can snapshot the whole file system. You can do an experiment, maybe it's going to obliterate your whole system, then you can just explore the snapshot, nothing happened. Access organizational control, it has network policies, you can publish ports. It has SSH, so you can use codecs, ChatGPT app on the desktop, and code desktop apps to connect with Sandbox, to do all the things you do normally in the host. It has a thing called kits. It's kind of more an organizational thing. Like if you're a big company and you have a lot of employees, you can create this kit in the Sandbox. It has all of this pre-configured stuff that all your employees, just spawn this Sandbox. It has all these tools ready to use, and it's useful. Let me get back to our friend here. Let's see if
For
Right,
kids,
it says-
for kids declarative, is that what you mean? It's like
Yeah,
infrastructure.
it's a declarative. It's this white yellow
Yeah.
thing that has all this, you know,
And
all this
it's-
configuration included, and you just spawn it, it's ready. It has
That's
all this in configured. Okay, it said ready. Let's see, it opened the VR. Let's see what it did. Good, it opened the VR. Okay. And it says that it completed, it's running, okay, whatever. Okay, why did I do this? What's interesting? Why did we do a hello world here? So the task was, it says like this: create a colorful hello world React app published on port 3000 served from inside a Docker. For validation, you must install Playwright CLI globally, create an intuit and create a screenshot snapshot, and verify that the snapshot is created and matches the expected output. Blah, 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 blah. All right, there are a few things going on here. This whole thing was one prompt. It installed Playwright CLI in the sandbox. I didn't have to be involved in that. I didn't have to give permission. It played around with Dockers. It has this isolated Docker engine inside the sandbox, so it cannot even touch Dockers in the system. It can do whatever it wants with Dockers. It created a PR on my GitHub. Now, it doesn't have my GitHub credential. How did it do that? There's a thing called credential injection. So Docker Sandbox can manage credentials. They have this secret manager. I can give it my GitHub token, and whenever there is an HTTP request coming from the sandbox with some placeholder, they replace it with the real credential. So if any prompt injection happened, if the agent wanted to try to leak my token, for example, it cannot find it. It can only use GitHub and create PR, but it cannot find my token.
Using a Git proxy, basically.
Yeah, so they have this HTTP proxy which injects credentials. They can do the same with OpenAI API key, Anthropic API key, all kinds of. You can define a custom one if you want.
Yeah. It's like the similar thing is like if you go on Claude, for example, and you open up a cloud instance. However, if you're on desktop, if you're on Cloud Web, and you do cloud and you hit new session, that session is tied to the GitHub repository that you select, and you cannot change it. Like it's actually impossible to change from inside that. You're actually opening up a micro VM, so it's impossible. So it's probably the same exact mechanism.
Yeah.
The proxy sits outside, listens to requests to GH, and appends the.
It's similar, yeah. So this is local. This is not on the cloud. You know, this whole Docker sandbox thing is intended for local. It's intended for you to use it on your own laptop. It's not some cloud environment that you have to manage with some subscription or something like that. It's free. I mean, you don't have to pay anybody to use it. So that's why we did this little thing here, and it's exposing for the 3000. So what I'm serving right now is running inside the sandbox. I did more publishing. It's kind of similar to normal Docker, which some of you know. And it created this nice PR, and it did the Playwright screenshot. That's a nice mechanism, by the way. It's not related to the topic, but if you want automated testing, you create screenshot snapshots that are Git trackable. That if something changes or breaks, you can see that it breaks. It created a Docker file. It did the whole thing completely autonomously, no permissions, no babysitting, nothing needed for me to. I didn't need to install something. I didn't need to manually approve only this Docker command, but not this Docker command. None of that. Completely autonomous. So you can do a lot of stuff very easily without having to, worry about your agent doing bad stuff. Let me get back to. Let's see what I have here. The next slide is I kind of talked about it. It's a little bit more about more advanced setup. This is my setup, and if you want to set up Docker Sandbox for your development environment, you can script around it. It's not very easy setting like auto mode and cloud code. It's something you have to spend a bit more time on to configure it to your own needs. But basically, what you can do, you can have this Docker file with all these installations, all these things you like to have in your development environment. You can have dot files. If anybody doesn't know what dot files are like Git trackable files that represent your system, and you can symlink them from the real locations of your system to the Git repo. So, for example, I'll show it in my repo. Actually, I have this. This is my own dot files. So, what happened here? You can see here I have all these Claude stuff, agent and skills and hooks and all this stuff, and this is my whole Claude config, and it lives inside a Git repo, and it lives inside a sandbox, and it's completely reproducible. So if I want to start this sandbox on a VPS or another machine or anywhere else on the cloud, I can just do it. I can just run the Docker file, and build all the installations, and then I can clone this repo, and then it has all my cloud configuration already. It has this migration script. It's going to automatically migrate my secrets from one sandbox to another sandbox. Sorry. And it gives me something very reproducible and portable that I don't have to worry about. If something happens, if I want to move to another machine, I just have it ready. It's instant. It takes like 5 minutes to build the whole thing. And it's a safe execution environment for my agent. Now another thing that happens here, I have this little change logs, and I have this little changelog skill. This is just a little skill that I let my agent have. And what it means is that every time my agent does anything about the system, any configuration, any installation, it's going to automatically write a changelog. Then later it's going to be migrated to my Docker file or the other scripts. So whenever the agent does something around the system, it becomes tracked. It becomes like something that gets carried over to the next instance. So that's my custom thing, but it's a very useful thing to do here. Let me see if I forgot anything here. So I said for credentials, you can use credential injection, you can see leak end files. Basically everything here is set already. It lets you do really, yeah.
Can you show what that changelog looks like?
What a changelog looks like. Let me try to, let me actually try to, so I give you a host script, it's called dev, this is my own sandbox.
While you prepare that, I want to ask, who's using sandboxing in their, at all, and how? Does anyone like got a lot of sandboxing going on and can talk about it also? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, we decided against Docker sandboxes because when I did the evaluation of all the tools that are available, Docker sandbox wasn't quite there yet. So at work we use Nono.
Which one?
It's called Nono, N-O-N-O. It developed quite a lot, so I think it's pretty much on par feature-wise with Docker sandboxes now, but it doesn't use a micro VM, it uses C groups, so the same mechanism as containers, like it shares a kernel, and it basically just isolates whatever you want. And it's super fast, like the startup is a few milliseconds, you don't really notice it, it just gives you...
It's a container.
No, it's not a container,
Oh,
it's
no.
like isolation on the OS kernel.
Okay. So it is a micro VM. That's not classified under.
No, it's not a
Teach me, I don't know
micro,
the
it's a
difference
micro VM. So
anymore.
the way container works, you usually have a container runtime
Right.
on your host OS, like Container D, for example,
Yeah.
and that uses kernel features to isolate processes and resources, for example, C groups.
Sure.
That's like the kernel isolation level. And they use the same thing. It's just not a container, it's just an isolated process on the kernel layer. And there it runs Claude or Codex or whatever you want. And then you also maintain a YAML file with like allow lists, certain permissions, mounts. You can also do the secret injection via proxy. It's basically the same. It is a little bit cumbersome sometimes because it uses binaries from your OS. For example, if it wants to use GitHub, you need like an HTTP helper. So sometimes when you try and use stuff, you get a lot of permission denied, and then you have to add it to your allow list, so it doesn't have a nice auto mode, but therefore it's very granular. It really only does what you want it to do. And that works great. The other cool thing about Nono is it's also a dependency or module you can use in Python or TypeScript. So if you write your own agents, you just throw their sandbox dependency in there, and you can wrap your agents, and it automatically does the sandboxing for you, which is really interesting for us for the next steps. So if you use LangChain or whatever, you just throw the sandboxing around the agents that you're building anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read across the same article. It was based on the Cloudflare durable objects. So it's similar to that. So each request is contained in one line of code. So let's say you want to write to, a database. It's going to be just one line and it just stops and closes that connection. So instead of having a whole VM which is spinning up and use the resources, just each log creates that connection that ends. I can send you the article that I used for building that.
Wait, is it also Noma, the same framework, or is it a different one?
I'm sorry?
What framework is that?
That's from Cloudflare Durable Objects. That's what I used. I basically used this article. I can share.
Your use case was a little. What was your use case here? You implemented this for.
I was trying to get away from virtual machines and containers myself.
Oh.
Trying to use least resources for an agent, and how could I achieve that? That's how I.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah, that's interesting. So there are multiple ways to sort of get this isolation mechanic. 'Cause that's like what we're trying to achieve, right? Anyone else just curious?
Just want to answer this question.
Yeah.
So you asked me about the change log. So what I did right now, I just told, hey, can you install GCC on my system? And then it installed. And then what actually happened, it checked the skill I have, and then it saw that GCC was already installed, which I didn't remember. So I decided not to create a change log because it was already installed. And then I told it, hey, can you create anyway the specific format? And then it did something like this. So it's saved here in summary, confirm GCC is installed in the sandbox, whatever. But if it was a new installation, it would create it automatically, and then I have it all tracked in Git. And then later I can do this, change log pass with another agent and tell it, hey, can you update the template, the profile of my scripts, and maybe be synced with everything that was done in the live sandbox.
So it's a skill level thing, it's not a hook or a sandbox, like, it's a skill that you've told the agent, hey, when you go install something, I want you to do this. It's not like a Docker primitive or a hook, right?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So it's currently an automatically loaded skill. The agent just going to see it whenever it does some stuff. So if you want to do it in a very deterministic way, that's totally reproducible. The only way I know to do it is with something called Nix. It's kind of like a unit layer that manages reproducible systems. Like every time something installs anything, it's going to be logged somewhere. I don't have Nix here. I didn't spend enough time on it, but if you want a very, very, very strict mechanism for that kind of management, you use Nix. That's another way to do it. Right now I don't use it, just let my agent do it, on its own. And it works for me. I mean, I never had a time where, it didn't do it or it did it wrong, so for now it's okay. Okay, any other questions?
What's your use case? Like, are you doing all your development work inside the sandbox?
Everything I do is inside the sandbox. Yeah, so that means I can let my agents, decide whether, you want to install a tool or you want to do this stuff, you want to install this library. Is there anything blocking you system-wise that you need to solve? Just start this little and set up some agent and let it deal with it. And I don't have to supervise it. I can let it do whatever it needs, go get a coffee, come back, the stuff is done, and I never get a permission prompt. I never have a situation where I need to sit and supervise and see, if doing something dangerous, do we need to approve it or not. I don't have this issue anymore.
Are there still cases where you still just run stuff locally without the sandbox? Like,
I have no reason to. The only time I need to do something on my host is if I want to use an agent to help me fix something on my host. Like if something would break, I don't know, something great with Docker Sandbox itself, for example, with the CLI or something that really needs to happen on my Mac, I would use auto mode and supervise the agent and see what it's doing, but otherwise for any kind of development, there is no reason. Everything can happen inside the sandbox, all the tools are installed there, everything is tracked. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you, so
We plug in your HDMI cable.
what was it?
Oh no, that's fine.
It's okay. I forgot to show you here what happened with the second task with the little hello world thing was I'm in my IDE and everything is here. This is the workspace. So you can work completely normal inside your IDE. You don't even know that it happens. This is all files that are shared between the host and the sandbox. It created this little React app and the Docker file and the package JSON. It's all, this is the only mount point. So changes happen in real time. I can do my own coding if I want. I can manually change something. The agent can change something. It's going to show immediately. So it's very seamless. It's not like working with cloud. It's a very seamless development experience.
And what are the credentials that you usually provide, or that it always has injected by probably some way to access GitHub, or you have this proxy around this, but are there many more of these proxies or credentials that you inject always?
That would depend on the risk level. If it's something that I don't really care about, I would just dump it inside the sandbox and not worry about it. For example, I have this little toy OpenAI API key that I sometimes load like $5, so I don't care at all. But if I have some very sensitive credential that I want to protect, I would either use credential injection like I did here with GitHub, or I would use completely different credentials. For example, I have this AWS account, and you can create different IAM identities, which if anybody doesn't know, it's like AWS's permission management and role management system. So I have this IAM profile on my host, write access, and I have this IAM profile on the sandbox, which has only read access. And in Sandbox, I can let my agent, hey, can you investigate, those logs or issues in AWS, and you can do whatever it wants, but you cannot access the write access, which is on my host. It's completely separate.
And what in scenarios where you have, for instance, you're working on some web application that is usually using some database that you would run in a separate Docker container, or you have maybe a project like a Supabase project running locally with a bunch of containers? How would
So
this
you
work?
can run Docker containers inside a sandbox. It has its own Docker engine inside a sandbox, completely isolated from any other Docker on the machine. And like I did right now with Hello World, I call it Take, you start to do a Docker setup with React app. So it's working inside a sandbox, and if I went to another sandbox with its own Docker, I would not be able to see it. It's a different engine
Okay, so you can run Docker
inside sandbox.
so
Yeah, and for any kind of database credentials, I mean, that would be the same practice, like even with other sandbox. I wouldn't give my agent right access to production database anyway, regardless of sandbox or not. This is not about this boundary here, this is more about how you manage your credentials. So I think, but yeah, what it allows you, it definitely allows you to put the sensitive credentials on the host, like stuff that you would use manually with your own CLI commands, and you can put another kind of credentials inside a sandbox that the agent can play around with and do whatever it wants without any supervision.
So I think I see complexity growing in first where credentials live, and because you might have different sandboxes with different parameters. You have credentials on your host, you have credentials on your proxy, and then within the sandbox, and then you have configurations. I'm not sure I understood, but you have these log files with different configurations, and how do you manage this complexity at some point? You forget things, and things change, and how do you deal with that?
Okay, so I have here, so the separation is, there's 3 different things here. This is my own environment, this is those files. First there's the record file here, which this is Git track. This is just what's installed in the system. When that runs, when I start a sandbox, it has all these different packages, curl, permission settings. This is drag. This is what installed in the system. Like programs, like Node, Python, whatever. And then I have the dot files, which are not installation, they're just about the drag files. This is stuff that can live in Git. This is like code stuff. The agents, the skills, the hooks, some scripts, whatever. This can live in Git. And now there's a credential. Obviously, I'm not storing it in Git. So what I have here is this script here, which says, I think it's copy state. That's another script that what it does, it helps me migrate from one sandbox to another sandbox. So if I have this old sandbox, which already had all kind of credentials and logins and whatever, and this script is going to automatically copy from here to here without storing it anywhere, without dragging it anywhere. So it's managed here. I mean, this is basically where it's going. What we said right now, this is where I remember where all the stuff lives in this script. So it knows, I have all this stuff in the sandbox. I should move it to the other sandbox. This is part of the automatic change log that happens if I do another login from somewhere. The agent is going to put it here in the script as well. So I think that's answering your question.
Yeah, and proxies. I'm not sure. Did you say the little Git? So how do you sensitive credentials? You kind of it makes a request and then the request is
So
verified.
that lives inside SPX. SPX is on the host. This is Docker Sandbox itself. It's the program. They have a secret manager. So that's a one-time thing. That's something I have to do only once. So for example, if I want Docker Sandbox to load my GitHub token, I'm going to store it once. I put it in the demo here. The demo here has a README, and it's like one of the first commands here with this little SPX secret set, the token.
And SPX is like one password.
Sorry?
It's like a password manager, like one password.
It's kind of like password manager, and that takes care of all the sandboxes. So, it has this G thing, this global, but you can do it like once per sandbox. If you want to isolate it to the sandbox, you can also do that. So that's something I would have to do exactly one time in my life. Just set it globally, and then it's available to all the sandboxes. So I don't have to take care of it all.
So you have no in dot and v local. You don't have your credentials.
If it's something that's not sensitive, I will put it inside. If I have some, so if I have a .env that can potentially have production stuff and I need it to be inside the project, what I would do is use symlink. So symlink would point to one copy to my host, which has the real stuff that I would use manually, and it would point to another file on the sandbox, which has some more files that I don't want my agent to see. That's another way to do this kind of situation.
But how does the mounting work? How do you symlink between the VM and the host?
Well, you don't symlink between the VM and the host, that's just mounting. When I say symlink in Linux is just like a little string pointer. Basically, it says on the file, this file is actually in this directory.
I know.
So when the system sees that, if my host is seeing that, it refers to the same location but on the host. And if the sandbox is seeing that, it refers to the same location but on the sandbox.
Okay.
And they're not mounted. I mean,
Got it,
they're
got it,
completely different
got it.
locations.
It's just the name of the directory. is
Exactly,
the
yeah.
same.
So if I have
So
this
wait, why do you
string-
need maybe I don't understand. Why do you need a symlink? What is the, maybe I just don't know.
I'll try to explain it here. For example,
I guess what I'm saying is that when I don't even know if this is important, but when I think of a symlink, it's like I don't think I've ever used a symlink to point from the exact same directory and file name to the exact same directory and file name. I've just never done that. It would always be something different, like .home/.config.
you do it for the directory. It's not only for a file. You do it for all directories. You do it for a file.
Sure.
So, let me clarify two things. There is the mounted workspace. This is only one folder in my computer. In my
my computer is called OverGL Workspace. That's the absolute path. And the sandbox sees that. It sees this path, and that's the only directory that you can see that has exactly the same content as my host. And it gets updated in real time.
Mhm.
Now, everywhere I want, I can define a symlink, and the symlink says, hey, this file is actually this file, this absolute path, or this directory is actually this one.
So that symlink is in the shared folder.
Yes, but it can point outside.
I know, I understand where it can
outside
point,
the model.
but the actual symlink is always in the shared folder. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, then I totally understand now.
You understand?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Do we have time? Any questions? You're the master group.
Yeah, no, we're good, I think.
Any other questions?
Just a quick question. Did you try to set up GPG signing for your sandbox?
Did I try?
GPG signing your commit. When you commit, you can add you can sign it, like your commit and before pushing.
Or the authentication.
It's a special security feature you can set up it in your account, GPG key, special GPG key, and when you commit, you sign it every time, and your commit sign it. Then only your commits that you sign it can be verified for this level for your special level.
Is it a GPT feature?
GPG.
GPG.
Oh, GPG. Oh.
Not right.
Like for signing, like signing a commit in GitHub, is that what you mean?
And did you try to set up for
I think I know what you
Or
mean.
maybe
I think I understand what you mean. There is a way to set it up. It's just another credential. I think they talk about it somewhere in the Docker Sandbox docs. I think they have some. I think they talk about it somewhere. Something about how to do lead signing. I'm quite sure they do it somewhere in the docs. They have something about it, how to set up lead signing without having the key exposed to the agent. I think that's what you mean, right? You don't want the private keys exposed to the agent, but you want to be able to sign commits.
Yeah, I use this key when I commit.
I think they get it, and they have it somewhere in the docs. I'll just have to look into it anyway where they talk about it, but I send the link to my repo, and you can look up their docs. It's called docs.docker.com sandboxes, and they have all these different features over there, all these different configurations about credentials, and how to set up this key credential or this. It's all there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other question?
Can I ask a semi-related question? You told me about this a few weeks ago at lunch, and I thought about it, and so it makes me wonder, because you were saying, I don't know why everybody isn't using this, blah, 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 and now here we are. So, does anyone have a similar thing for credential management? Like, this to me is I would be embarrassed if I told you how I'm actually dealing with credentials, because nothing of the proper ways, I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I wonder if there's a tool like how Docker Sandbox upgrades this part, and does anyone have something where they're like, dude, everyone should be using this for credential management?
Maybe for everything or just for your agents?
I would say maybe for, I don't know, actually I can't answer.
I think it'd be what's a framework to use, right? Does anyone have a clear framework that they follow?
Almost like a password manager.
Yeah, a friend of mine uses 1Password CLI. I don't, but he uses that for everything.
He uses that for credentials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I assume
I think
LastPass.
Bitwarden also has a CLI.
Yeah, I use Bitwarden personally.
Yeah,
I
I
use
do.
CLI for agents, so I use GPG or whatever the other thing is called, a Vault or something.
What?
I use a Vault, a GPG, I don't have a clue what it means. A GPG Vault that just stores all my credentials.
In Bitwarden.
No, it's a Windows feature.
Oh,
But I also use Bitwarden just for all my personal stuff. But my friend uses 1Password CLI.
got
Shares
it.
with it.
Wait, so but how does that get passed?
I don't have a clue, but he
No,
uses it a lot.
what you do. how do the credentials get passed
It's a
to?
GPG Vault.
I understand what it's, but what?
Oh yeah, I don't know what that means. It was all set up for me by the agent. But that wasn't what I was recommending.
Oh, you're not. Oh, HashiCorp. Oh, you're using you're doing
One
those.
password CLI my friend uses.
No, I understand.
Yeah, okay.
I won't use that though. It's
Okay.
closed source, whatever. But
Okay.
You can use your, you have a Mac, so you can just use, you can inject it from your
keychain.
keychain.
I don't like the idea. of
But
storing
the
my
problem is,
credentials.
do you want to expose your actual credentials to the LLM?
Yes.
Right? So
Exactly. Like for instance, I have everything right now is in the
your
.NET.
passwords, you don't worry, right? You as a human, you can see your credentials in clear text somewhere. That's not so bad. But yeah, do you want to expose the actual credentials to an LLM? You can look at one CLI. It's basically the same. It does proxy. You can give the agent a random key, like come up with something. It sends its request. One CLI intercepts it with a proxy and replaces it with the actual credential.
Okay, now that I'm looking at this, I understand your question better. So I guess the truth is, again, I don't like it's. I would prefer this for everything, not just for agents. I actually would prefer that it's very difficult that things are not stored in a readable way
Somewhere
anywhere.
it needs to be stored at some point.
No, I understand, but I mean like in the same way that people have one password or some password.
No, you should aim toward short-lived credentials. So, like,
I won't do
but there are tools for it,
If
right?
it-
Like,
if it's if it's a publicly available app, you can use, inject it via GitHub, like your GitHub Vault or Vercel Vault. There's tons of, like, vaults.
I guess I would ideally, again, I don't know if I'm weird or something, but I would want like one system. Like I do think that the production, what he's talking about GPG Vault, when it's HashiCorp, right? Like every time you talk to an AI agent, they will say if you want enterprise grade, production grade,
Yeah, but if
secret.
it's deployed, then that's not gonna help you. If somebody's actually using your app.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's right. I think that that's why HashiCorp exists. Is that once you set it up, it's constantly injecting in a way. I see what you're like. I get why you're saying what you're saying, but from what I understand, which is clearly not that much, like that's the whole thing. HashiCorp Vault is designed to solve. But it's like enterprise. You know, it's not like.
no,
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
Vault is designed for short-lived credentials. That was the first use case. So,
Okay.
for example, you have a Postgres database running
Yeah.
somewhere. Then you have like a kind of an admin account that Vault owns.
Mhm.
And if you need access to the database, you ask Vault, like, I need a credential set now. It creates it on the fly, valid for like 5 minutes.
Mhm.
You use it, and then that credential set is gone.
Mm.
It deletes it again.
Okay, I get that. I guess the thing is that a lot of the things I'm using are, you know, like they're not my Postgres, that it's like some public API, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But the problem with Vault is, like, we use it at work a lot.
Okay, sure.
It's great. It
Yes.
works very, very well. The problem is you need an integration for whatever backend
Right,
you need
exactly.
access to, and that is a
Exactly.
big issue. You can write your own plugins. It has like the Go plugin
yeah.
dependency thingy, so it's not that difficult, but it is a pain in the ass if it's something that's not officially supported.
At some point, I will definitely do that, but I was just wondering if there's like a sort of in-between point where there's something super. It's weird that I actually have to say, the last thing I'll say, it's very weird to me that this doesn't exist because it's such a huge, like, glaring issue. I guess it's very difficult.
I think it's just really complicated.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's really, really complicated. It comes down to, in my take is that it's like just very specific. There's like a very specialized thing happening here where, like, okay, you want to secure your system, but you really have to get like very, we have to really zoom in on what exactly are we securing, and it's security custom built, or rather specific built for that particular like there's no generalized framework where it's like use this and it will work across development, production, daily driving of the AI. Like there isn't sort of that one size fit all model. None that I know of. It's literally like, are you deploying in the cloud for customers? Okay, well there's a security mechanism there. Are you running agents locally on your computer, or are you running agents internally on your systems? That's different from the other one. So, and then that's like, what does that mean? Well, it's like, it's a lot of work to set this up. Because like, ideally you want this like answer of like, do this, it will cover everything, and you don't have to spend that much energy setting this all up. But that's, I don't know of anything that exists like that. So it's complicated, as I guess as things always are in software. It's complicated and there's trade-offs. So I know we have like 2 minutes left. So as part of wrapping up, actually, what I want to do is I actually want to just poll the room and ask, because I think the sort of the AI space and the world sort of is changing a little bit. I actually want to figure out. How do I word this? So I want to know what is most valuable to all of you guys because I sort of want to reinvent what are we coming for on Saturdays, right? So I want to open up a conversation on that. We're out of time, so I don't want to conversate on it right now. But if you have ideas, or what would you really want to know or hear? Because I feel like every Saturday is becoming more and more diluted with like, well, there's a million things we can talk about, but what should the focus be? As I was saying, like right at the beginning of all this, last year it made a lot of sense. For the last 3 years, it made a lot of sense. I mean, every week it was like a new primitive coming out, but that stopped, and I think the AI companies won't do that anymore. So, yeah, I would love to hear.
I have an idea. I don't know what you think about it, but I'm curious to hear what challenges you have. And when I say challenge, I have a specific definition. So there is a point A where you're right now, and you can describe this situation. There is a point B where you want to be, and you can describe that situation. And then you can describe the obstacle to this transformation, to going from point A to point B. And if there is, I forgot what is this tool, but there is this tool for events where you can just put your questions, right? And I can see your question and I can vote it up. But what I would be curious is not the question, but the challenge. If I see it in that form, point A, point B, obstacle, then I can upvote it, and maybe there is a question attached, and and then we can say, well, let's just put this challenge, and we can open up a conversation that is maybe more meaningful for this person, but also the people who are called.
Yeah. You mean like a kind of like a Reddit sort of setup every week, and everybody asks questions, and we upvote, and then you get asked. That's what gets discussed every Saturday. Is that what you mean?
I forgot what is the tool for events, but
okay.
There is this tool you started for an event.
Yeah.
And then you can put stuff there, and you can go and see what is the stuff.
Leading up to the event, or
Slido, I think it's called Slido.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Slido. And on something like Slido, instead of putting questions, we can put challenges in this form. I am on point A, I want to go to point B, this is my obstacle. And I think this is the right question to ask. But then typically somebody else could say, oh, you know what, you described that you are in point A, you want to go to point B, but maybe you should describe it differently. You are in a different point A. This is not the way to describe your challenge. And if we work on the problem definition, then maybe you have a different reframe of my challenge, and that unlocks me instead of,
What I've been coming here for the group is in my own echo chamber the whole week, and that looks like this whole group is more technical compared to all the groups I've been to. And I come here learning from everyone, what everybody else learned something new. It's been pretty good for me. So
Sure.
it'd be nice to see that still exists while we switch to another format.
I'll be really open and honest about it. Like, I think we used to discuss a lot more historically on like sharing what you've learned, but it seems like there's been so much dilution. Like, there is so much to talk about that it's almost like I don't even know what is worth talking about. So, well, I completely agree. Like, and especially going back many months ago, like that was like prime. That was amazing. But now I think I just don't know how to elicit that anymore. I'm not even sure if that's also like moving forward. I don't know, like the next 6 months out, like does it trend in that direction? I feel like I don't even know. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. One suggestion is like maybe a timer-based round of the insight of the week. Everybody who wants to talk about it has just 1 minute. We just have a timer, you know. And then everybody, like, people can also pass, you know, if you don't have an insight of the week, because then we keep it, you know, condensed. Maximum would be maybe, I don't know, like 20 minutes, obviously with 20 people. But people can pass as well. Then they can say, wow, okay, like Bonsai, the local image model, that's my unlock of the week, you know, and just drop stuff. So, because I think every week we're also into it, like we discover cool shit, right? So, and then it's cool to just blurt it out. And people can, you know, we don't even have to interact about it. But of course, people might identify some themes, you know, like this local image model came out and 4 people think, wow, this is wicked. Now suddenly I can do very fast image gen on my MacBook. And then maybe that becomes a topic, right?
Sure.
So I think these kind of speed round, and people can pass as well, easy, you know, but with a timer, gotta have a timer, otherwise.
Or else one topic goes on for 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, about a year ago, it was about, there was 2 or 3 topics maximum usually per week. It was like GPT-5 came out, and then it was first hour was spent on GPT-5. I think that was kind of better, more or less. Maybe it's too many small things, right? It just dilutes the whole thing. More like sort of running through quickly a number of these pick 2 or 3 major. Well, if there's a major. DeepSeek.
That's the hard thing, right?
What is a major? Yeah.
What is a major? and like the DeepSeek example, it's also like, but no one has used it.
No one cares about it. Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard. I really think there needs to be a redefinition of why come on Saturday. I really think that's the case. Like, why come on Saturday? Should it be moved maybe to a Friday and become more social? You know, we always try to do this thing where when we tried it before, we stopped. But it was like do some sort of Friday event, and right after it was like drinks to go right after. Maybe we change to that sort of direction. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here that the reason to come and why. I want to redefine it. I want to make it far more focused.
I agree with a lot of people saying here that we used to talk about like people's setups. Just explaining, this is how I'm building something, trying to build something, and like, yeah, these are the problems that I have. I'm at level 1.8 on Claude's, you know, steps way ahead. Up, so now when I get 2.5, how do I get there? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Was useful.
Like, I love
back
those
in the day.
I would agree with a lot of this. That for me, the most valuable thing would for sure be, I actually feel like just in the world, it is not that easy to assemble a global group of people that is just sitting here, that is this technical, right? I don't think there's many things like this in the world, is my opinion. And so some way, like I feel like the commonality of what people are saying is some like bottoms up approach of how to pull out of people something useful. Because it's like what he just said about image gen, I'm not really focused on that right now, but if all of a sudden people are like, no, you gotta check this out, like that could totally change something for me, and it's sort of like having free employees in a way. It's a weird way to think about it, but you know, so that would be always the most useful thing for me. It's like Picasso, it's one of the great quotes, right? He said like, I don't know, amateurs talk about form and composition, and painters talk about where do you buy turpentine, right? It's like, these are like, what package are you using? what version, are you pinning things, secrets management, just for me, that would be, like if I came away with 5 or 10 of those, like as an example, last Friday, when you did the 1.5 or 2 or whatever, I'm already upgraded since then, because it like changed, oh, okay, that's how you would do that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's only a small upgrade, but I would love to blurt that out as an
So it
example.
sounds like a more leaning into the technicalness of things, a far more leaning into technicalness, and
That's how
maybe
we used to do it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like it when I could walk out of here with something to go try.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
something
right,
to
that's
try.
right. That's right.
Things that I read on Twitter only.
That's like that. I think that is most ideal. You walk out of here with something to try or something to not try because someone did it and they said it sucked. But then how do we like constrain that? Because it's also there's that problem of well now there's 1,000 things to try. Last year it was 100, but now there's like 1,000. So what's the you bring up okay I tried Fireworks AI and I didn't like it and like only 5% of the room was even interested in that data point. That's hard, right? So
But he gave like a potential, they both gave a potential solution to like how do you constrain that quickly. Like, oh, you could theoretically, just as another addition, you could use Slido before. Like you could post it on the WhatsApp group on Friday night, hey, the Slido is open.
or you post it on starting Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
Monday,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
Starting Monday, start contributing to this.
And then you come on Saturday and it's actually perfect because your whole thing of like the AI just makes the slides anyway. Now you
Yeah.
just shift that. It's like the group already made the meetup before the meetup started and everybody already knows what it's going to be about because it's the most upvoted things.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, the WhatsApp group used to kind of do a little bit, it's getting a little bit crowded at the moment. Every time I check there's 75 new messages, so it's kind of hard to follow what's going on. So having that kind of structure there might be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's blown up. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, that's-
Don't do anything about it, let it be.
And
With this.
timer. I mean, I don't know, I've met other groups, bigger groups, you need to work with timers. At some point, you need to cut off people. Like, because sometimes people drift off in like conversations that may be good for these two over lunch, but
Yeah.
not for the rest of the room. So if you
Very
would
good
work
point.
more with timers and be more strict about it, make it happen.
I remember a long time ago being really strict about like, all right, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and then change the topic. Okay, so that's good to hear. That kind of probably needs to come back.
One last comment on the WhatsApp group, maybe introduce a new channel that's specifically for the meetup because for me it feels like I'm not reading through the history anymore because I have like 200 messages in the Share My channel and I'm not reading this. Like it might be interesting, but I just don't have time for this.
Yeah.
So maybe a separate channel for the Chiang Mai meetup. There's no discussion about topics. This is strictly about what are we going to talk about in the meetup and voting. Like no chit chat, no bullshit, no link sharing.
Okay, yeah, so just topics only. Like this is a subgroup for just topics only. Actually, in
Because
group,
we have there's other channels in the WhatsApp group
Yeah.
for that kind of stuff.
well, it's a good thing to also good moment to bring up. Like I've been thinking about Buzz, the thing from Jack Dorsey,
Yeah.
and introducing it. But I'm worried that like, okay, if I set up a Buzz community, it's a pain in the ass to always be on multiple platforms, right? Like ergonomically speaking, it's like if you use WhatsApp for your life, then it's nice that if a group was already in WhatsApp. But Buzz is like, oh, go install this app. So I say that because I want to ask, like, if I set up a Buzz community, is that of interest or is that, so one person,
Yeah, definitely.
raise your hand if a Buzz community would be of interest to you.
Can you just tell us what it is? What
I
is
can
it?
go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So what is it? So this whole new concept of multiplayer AI, this new big thing that is like no one is talking about, but it sort of came out from Anthropic with the Claude Tag product working in Slack. So Jack Dorsey, from the guy who made Twitter, the guy who made runs Block, he came out with a product called Buzz. And Buzz is sort of like a Slack.
It's Discord.
It's built on Nostr.
Yeah, so Slack killer, if you will, but it's set up in such a way where you can bring your agent into the community, having it sit there with you, and So it's a new community type of platform. It actually enables this whole multiplayer AI aspect.
It's like a Claude tag by any agent.
It's a Claude tag, but it's on an open source platform.
So it's a
social
it's like,
network
it's
with
like Slack. Yeah,
It's
it's like
Human
Slack
and
with
human and
Discord.
agent.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
sounds
and even you don't
interesting.
know if it's a human or an agent.
No, you, well, yeah.
Yeah, good one, yeah. So if I set one up though, I guess should I just throw it out and, hey, see, and we'll see how many people join? Because there we can make all the distinctive channels and maybe it's more future. WhatsApp has so many problems. This is why I don't put a lot of energy into the WhatsApp group, because literally the number of knobs we have to do anything is, one, it's extremely low, two, it costs, and so I don't like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest time and energy into this, but Buzz makes sense because it sort of fits the new
I
world.
mean, it's extensible, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's Extendable, there's Chant, there's
Yeah, dude, it's.
Threading,
Is that on mobile though?
multiple
Sorry?
channels.
Is it sorry, is it mobile?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have mobile app now.
No, Android. Because it says it's being wired up on the GitHub.
Yeah, they just released the mobile
It's,
version.
it's
this
only
week.
like a week old,
Okay.
like maybe 10 days max, but the mobile app just came out like 4 or 5 days ago.
Can we create there the Slido thing?
Yeah,
inside?
it's all this, it's basically like being in Slack or Discord. You can have multiple communities, so over time you can, like similar to Discord, you can be in multiple communities. You can share your agents into multiple communities. The cool thing about it is you can share compute. If everyone has open models, you can actually share compute across, with the open models across the platform, which is interesting. And it's all open source and even privacy, like you don't even sign up with your email. You basically get a key, almost like DID, decentralized ID access.
I think I'll just set it up and see who joins, and we go from there. And then we'll try to play around with these concepts of like, I'm not gonna like have a perfect solution, so maybe, like I said, just start Monday or start contributing to what do you want to talk about this coming Saturday, and that sort of gets blended in with, depends on how it turns out. So
Just to be clear on what Slido is, it seems like not everybody knows, in case we use it. The reason I would think it's better than a WhatsApp topic group is because it's basically a website with you get a
It's like
room,
Reddit.
and then you can just